What's going on, guys? JPB Duel here. Hope you guys are enjoying your Friday. And for today's matchup, I'm bringing you a prankkids versus invokedshaddolleldlich matchup. So let's get on right with the gameplay. For today's game, I am going first, and if you guys look at my starting hand, it is not that great of a hand. Yes, I do have a starter card. Yes, I do have polymerization, but I did not have any negations towards any hand traps my opponent could have thrown at me. So far we are safe from Ash Blossom and Maxi because if my opponent had any of those, he would already use them. And so now I'm only worried about Nib. And since if my opponent nibs me, I have no playthrough around Nib. Like my hand is pretty much just a combo starter card hand and that's it. So since I had polymerization and my opponent was not nibbing me or doing anything, I'm gonna go into totally awesome combo as you guys know with the poly. Now really important point to keep in mind over here, you can use your doodle-doo to bring your pandemonium plus your drop seeds into your hand. But keep in mind to go into totally awesome combo, you need to have one copy of drop seeds in the graveyard so that you can use Rocket Ride to pull it back from the graveyard onto the field, along with the other one that you will get off of Roxy's to go into your totally awesome combo. So if you use your Doodle-Doo's Tribute to bring your Dropsies into your hand, make sure to use your polymerization and send the Dropsies that you got in your hand back to the graveyard. Otherwise, you will not be able to access Totally Awesome. So we go into Rocket Ride, activate Dropsies from the graveyard, and I'm just chain blocking with my Rocket Ride in case my opponent randomly Ash Blossoms me. So Dropsies activates, we special out Roxy's. Activate Rocket Ride, target the copy of Dropsies plus Doodle-Doo in the grave. Technically, you only need to target the copy of Dropsies. Anything else you bring from the graveyard onto the field doesn't really matter because you're going to send it back to the graveyard anyways to link into your Bow Wow Bark. But make sure you get your Dropsies on the field and do not use the Dropsies if you want to go into your totally awesome combo. So we go into our Bow Wow Bark using the Doodle-Doo plus the Roxy's on the field, and off of this Roxy's I banish my Ghost Bell. Now I know I only run one copy of Ghost Bell, and Ghost Bell is a way you can use to negate your opponent's Call by the Grave, but I would rather keep the Raigeki and Harpies in my hand over Ghost Bell because first of all, I don't know what kind of deck my opponent was playing, right? He could be playing a back row set deck, he could be playing a Flood the Monster Field deck, so I needed both of those cards in case my opponent was playing any of those kind of decks. So, and since I was going totally awesome anyways, if my opponent Call by the Grave my Bow Wow Bark, I could have just used my totally awesome, negated the Call by the Grave, and then kept my Butler combo alive. So that's the reason why I banished the Ghost Bell over any other card in my hand. So now we go into our totally awesome combo. Set down our Pandemonium, activate our Pranks, and our turn. Then activate Pranks, recycle 3 cards, and I drew into a Maxi, which was pretty good for me at this point because in my opponent's draw phase, I could Maxi him. So in case he was playing a combo deck and my opponent had a Call by the Grave in their hand, they would be forced to Call by the Grave the Maxi over my Bow Wow Bark. And that would have allowed me to know my opponent is playing a heavy combo deck, so I would have just used my Totally Awesome to negate the Call by the Grave to make my Maxi go through anyways. Maxi goes through, activate Bow Wow Bark, we get the 2 pieces we need for the Butler combo from our graveyard into our hand, namely the Lamseas and Fancies. The Dropsies we will get off of the Totally Awesome once we activate it and send it to the graveyard, or if somehow my opponent kills it off or kaijus me or something and sends it to the graveyard anyways. So my opponent starts his turn off by activating the Golden Land to search for the Golden Lord. I'm not going to negate this because I could have just negated the Golden Lord when he activates the Golden Lord from his hand anyways with the Totally Awesome. So I let this go through, and then he normals out Alistair. So I thought this Golden Land was just a bait for my Totally Awesome, which turned out to be right. So I normals out Alistair, activates it. At this point, I have to Totally Awesome the Alistair because Totally Awesome negates, and if it negates a card, it destroys it, and if it destroys the card, it yoinks the card as well. So my Totally Awesome negated, destroyed, and yoinked his Alistair. So now, even if he had an invocation in his hand, he will not be able to go into his invoked combo, I believe, but my opponent had a way to go into his invoke combo, meaning that we saw that he had the Eldlich, the Golden Lord, in his hand. He searched for it off of the Golden Land. Now, he could have used the Eldlich, the Golden Lord's effect to send one card, one spell trap from his hand plus the Golden Lord to the graveyard to target the Alistair if he had the spell trap in his hand. Target the Alistair, so Alistair would have been sent back to his graveyard. Then, if he had Invocation in his hand, he could have used Invocation afterwards to go into his Mechaba or any invoke combo he wanted, and then activated the Golden Lord from his graveyard and then put it on the field with 3500 attack. He could have done that, mind you. But, I mean, this guy had Invocation in his hand, and he chose to use Invocation to go into El Shaddol Construct. Now, this was really weird for me, to be honest, because if he had a spell trap in his hand, he could have used the Golden Lord to make the play I just said. But I guess he did not have any other spell trap in his hand, so he did the play that he did. So with this was a new one for me, the El Shaddol Hollow. I did not know what this card did, so I had to read it out. Basically, it says if you send this card to the graveyard, you can send to the graveyard cards equal to the number of different attributed monster on the field. So what I probably should have done was, as you guys will see, I'm going to chain link my Pandemonium at the end of the whole chain link that my opponent activates. I probably should not have activated my Pandemonium at this point, because once it resolves, the El Shaddol is after the Butler, so my opponent will be able to send 2 cards to the graveyard instead of 1. So what I should have done was let this combo resolve and then use my Pandemonium to go into my combo. But sadly, it already happened. Like, I activated it and then I realized it, so it already had went through by that point. So my opponent was able to send 2 cards from the top of his deck to the graveyard because of that. And the construct ends up sending the Shaddol Schism to the graveyard as well. Because if I use my Butler kill off the construct, he can just get the Shaddol Schism from his graveyard into his hand. And with the 2 cards he sent from the top of his deck, one turned out to be the Meltdown, one turned out to be the Hedgehog, which can be activated from the graveyard. So he activates it from the graveyard, and then we get our own graveyard activations for the prankkids combo. So I activate my prankkids graveyard activations. I did not use my Butler pop at this point, I believe. I'm going to use it before my opponent goes into battle phase, because if he specials out more monsters on the field, I want to pop everything my opponent puts on the field as well. And since we already went through Totally Awesome, we cannot get 2 drops on the field anyways. So that's my field right now. And he searches for the Reshadol Wendy off of the Hedgehog. So he gets that card in his hand, activates Golden Lord from his graveyard, puts the Golden Land into the graveyard, and then gets the Golden Lord on the field with 3500 attack. So that card can beat over my Butler now. Golden Land activates, and he sends a Conquistador to the graveyard. Now this was, again, really weird for me because Conquistador is limited to 1. So he probably should have sent a Aquero to this graveyard over Conquistador to set Conquistador on the field to destroy 1 card on my turn. But again, that's his play. He chose to make that play. I cannot say anything about it. So as my opponent is still under Max C, I drew 2 cards off of the specials that he put on the field. Now he goes into battle phase. So I activate my Butler, use my Meow move, banish it to pop his construct. Now I already know he's going to get the Schism in his hand. I was okay with that. So he gets the Schism in his hand, kills off my Butler, and the reason why I use my Meow move for the Butler pop is because if my Butler is killed off, I can activate Butler in the graveyard to target something in my graveyard and put it back on the field. So I targeted my Bow Wow Bark. Now you guys can ask me why not target the Totally Awesome. I was not able to target the Totally Awesome off of this Butler. So that's the reason for the Bow Wow over the Totally Awesome. So we get the Bow Wow on the field. He activates Conquistador at the end of his turn to set down a Sanguine on the field. I'm okay with that. So one card he set down I know is a Schism. And the other card he set down, I did not know what it was. So if you guys look at my field, first of all, let's go into draw phase first. Let's see what I draw into. So I draw into a Dropsies. Now, in my hand, I have Harpy's Feather Duster. So my play was I was going to Harpy's Feather Duster him, force him to activate Schism, so that if he activates Schism to get the Winda on the field, I could just Kaiju the Winda and then go into my play afterwards. Because Winda would have limited me to 1 special only, I would just kaiju it and then get it over with and then go into my play to outright kill him that turn because I had more than enough materials on the field to kill my opponent. So I activate the harpies and my opponent just outright scoops right here. He did not even want to deal with this whatsoever. I did not know if he knew I had a kaiju in my hand or what, but like he did not just did not want to deal with this, so he surrendered. Anyways, that's gonna be the end of the game, guys. If you guys do like this kind of videos, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing to my channel for more daily prank kid video uploads, and if you guys are interested in the live version of all of this, I do live stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/jpbduel. Link along with my schedule is going to be in the video description and stuff, so you guys can check it out. This is JPBduel signing out for today. See you guys in the next video. Peace!